The alien invasion. In the vastness of space, a large alien ship floated silently, hidden behind a moon. This ship belonged to the Zarkonians, a powerful race known for their advanced technology and ruthless ambition. They had one mission: to conquer Earth. The Zarkonians believed that humans were weak and easy to defeat. They saw Earth as a treasure, ripe for the taking. Inside the ship, Commander Varnock paced back and forth. His sharp, angular face was filled with determination. He turned to his team of elite soldiers, all waiting for his orders. "Today," he announced, his voice booming, "we will show these primitive beings the power of the Zarkonian Empire. We will crush their spirits and take their planet." The soldiers cheered, their voices echoing through the ship. They were confident, and their confidence was contagious. Varnock had led many successful invasions, and this one would be no different. As the ship moved closer to Earth, the soldiers prepared for battle, loading their weapons and checking their gear. On Earth, people went about their daily lives, completely unaware of the threat approaching their planet. In a small town, children played in the park, while adults chatted over coffee. The sky was bright and clear, a beautiful day for everyone. But above them, the Zarkonian ship hovered, cloaked in advanced technology. Suddenly, the ship decloaked, revealing itself in the sky. It was enormous, casting a shadow over the town. Panic spread as people looked up, their eyes widening in fear. Alarms began to ring, and chaos erupted. People screamed and ran, unsure of what to do. The children were quickly gathered by their parents, while others sought shelter. Varnock watched from his ship, amused by the humans' reaction. "They scatter like insects," he chuckled, turning to his soldiers. "They know they cannot fight us. Prepare the landing pods. We will take them by surprise." The soldiers nodded, excitement coursing through their veins. They had trained for this moment, and now it was time to show their strength. Varnock activated the landing pods, which were small crafts designed for quick deployment. "Let's teach these creatures a lesson they will never forget." The pods detached from the main ship and descended towards Earth. As they landed, they created loud crashing sounds, further startling the humans. The Zarkonians stepped out, tall and imposing, with shimmering skin and glowing eyes. They wore advanced armor that reflected the sunlight, making them look even more menacing. At first, the soldiers stood still, surveying the area. They expected to see humans trembling in fear. Instead, a group of brave individuals emerged from the nearby buildings. They were unarmed but stood defiantly in front of the aliens. "Leave our planet," shouted one man, his voice steady despite the fear in his heart. Varnock was taken aback. He had never encountered such defiance. "Foolish humans," he sneered. "You think you can stand against us? You are nothing." He raised his weapon, ready to show his power. But the humans did not back down. "We will fight for our home," shouted a woman. "You will not take it from us." The determination in her voice inspired others to join her, forming a line against the aliens. The Zarkonian soldiers were surprised. They had expected humans to run and hide, not to fight back. Varnock, sensing the tension, decided to demonstrate their strength. "Show them what we can do," he commanded. The Zarkonians unleashed a wave of energy blasts into the air, creating loud explosions. The humans ducked and ran for cover, but a few stood their ground, shouting for their friends to stay strong. The Zarkonians laughed, believing they had won the battle before it even began. But as the dust settled, something unexpected happened. Instead of fleeing in terror, the humans began to regroup. They communicated quickly, strategizing despite the chaos. Varnock noticed their resilience and felt a flicker of concern. "These humans are not as weak as I thought," he muttered to himself. Then from the crowd, a brave young girl stepped forward, holding a simple rock. "We will not let you take our home. We will fight for our families," she declared. The crowd erupted in cheers, their spirits rising despite the overwhelming odds. Varnock was struck by the sheer determination in her voice. This is just the beginning, he thought, feeling a strange sense of unease. He had underestimated the humans, and now they were fighting back. As the soldiers prepared for another attack, he realized that this mission would not be as easy as he had hoped. Varnock raised his weapon once more, ready to demonstrate their power. But inside, he felt the first hints of doubt. Perhaps these humans were not as defenseless as he believed. The alien soldiers stood ready, but the humans stood even taller, united in their determination. The battle had begun, and neither side was willing to back down. The Zarkonians faced an enemy they had never expected, a resilient spirit that could not be easily broken. Little did they know, this confrontation would change their views of humanity forever. The unexpected resistance. The sun hung high in the sky as the clash between the Zarkonians and the brave humans continued. Dust swirled around the battlefield, creating a haze that mixed with the tension in the air. Varnock, the Zarkonian commander, observed his soldiers, who were ready for battle but slightly taken aback by the humans' unexpected resistance. Why do they not flee? Varnock wondered, his confidence wavering. He had seen entire civilizations crumble before the might of the Zarkonian Empire, yet these humans stood firm, refusing to show fear. As Varnock aimed his weapon at the girl with the rock, a soldier named Zarek stepped forward. "Commander, perhaps we should rethink our approach. These humans are not what we expected." Zarek's voice was filled with concern. "Rethink?" Varnock shot back, irritation flashing in his eyes. "They are merely insects. We will crush them." He fired a shot at a nearby tree, splitting it in two. The humans jumped back in shock, but they quickly regrouped, rallying around the young girl. "Stand strong," she shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We are not alone. We will fight for our home." Her words ignited a spark in the hearts of the people. They began to organize, picking up whatever they could find: sticks, rocks, anything that could be used as a weapon. As the humans prepared to charge, Varnock activated the loudspeaker on his armor. "You are foolish to resist. We have the power of the galaxy behind us." His voice echoed through the battlefield, but the humans were undeterred. With a fierce battle cry, the humans launched themselves at the Zarkonians. The sight was both chaotic and inspiring. They had no advanced weapons, no sophisticated armor, only their courage and determination. Varnock felt a strange sense of admiration mixed with anger. "Prepare to fire," he commanded, raising his weapon again. But before he could pull the trigger, Zarek spoke up again. "Commander, wait. Look at their faces. They fight for each other, not for themselves." Varnock hesitated. It was true. The humans were fighting as a unit. They had formed small groups, strategizing and working together. Some used makeshift shields, while others hurled rocks and sticks toward the Zarkonian soldiers. A few of them even managed to find abandoned tools from the nearby town, wielding them like swords. The Zarkonian soldiers, initially confident, began to falter. They were not just facing individuals, they were facing a united front. Varnock's irritation grew as he struggled to maintain control. "Do not let them overwhelm you," he shouted, but the fear in his soldiers' eyes was evident. As the battle raged on, one brave human named Marcus led a charge toward the Zarkonians. "For our families, for Earth," he yelled, swinging a metal pipe he had found on the ground. The humans followed his lead, rushing forward with fierce determination. The Zarkonian soldiers fired their weapons, but the humans were quick and agile. They dodged the blasts, using their surroundings to their advantage. Marcus ducked behind a boulder, rallying his friends. "We can win this. We just have to fight harder." Varnock watched in frustration. The humans were adapting, and he had not anticipated their resilience. He turned to Zarek. "What do you suggest we do?" "Perhaps we should use a different strategy," Zarek replied cautiously. "We have technology they cannot comprehend. Maybe we can intimidate them instead." Varnock thought for a moment. Instead of annihilating the humans, perhaps he could scare them into submission. Fine. Let's show them our might, he commanded. He activated a device on his wrist, sending a signal to the Zarkonian ship above. The ship began to descend, looming over the battlefield. Its massive presence cast a shadow over the humans, who looked up in awe and fear. "Look at that," a woman gasped, clutching the arm of a friend. The Zarkonian ship hovered above, its engines humming with power. Varnock smiled, believing he had finally gained the upper hand. "Humans," Varnock shouted again, his voice booming. "You face not only us but the full might of the Zarkonian Empire. Surrender now, or face total destruction." The humans hesitated, fear creeping into their hearts, but the young girl stepped forward again. "We will not give up. We will fight for our planet, our families. We will not let you take our home." Her words sparked courage in the hearts of her friends. They began to shout in unison, "We will fight." The ground trembled with their voices, echoing against the towering alien ship. Varnock felt a chill run down his spine. He had never encountered such bravery before. This was not just a battle. It was a fight for survival, and the humans were willing to do whatever it took to protect their home. As the Zarkonian ship prepared to fire its weapons, Marcus and the others readied themselves for what was to come. They knew the odds were against them, but they also knew that sometimes the fiercest battles are fought with the strongest hearts. In that moment, the clash between two very different worlds reached its boiling point. The Zarkonians were about to learn a lesson they would never forget. Humans were not to be underestimated. The turning tide. As the shadow of the Zarkonian ship loomed overhead, the tension on the battlefield was palpable. Varnock felt a surge of confidence, believing that the humans would finally succumb to fear. But he was unprepared for the fire in their eyes, the fierce determination that burned brighter than he had ever seen. The Zarkonian ship's engines roared to life, and Varnock grinned, ready to unleash a barrage that would decimate the brave humans below. Yet, before he could give the order, a sudden explosion rattled the ground. The humans had begun using makeshift explosives. An old storage facility nearby had been rigged with what they could find, sending a plume of smoke and debris into the air. "What are they doing?" Varnock shouted, startled. He quickly looked around to see the humans moving with surprising speed, using the confusion to their advantage. "Fire," he commanded, but the chaos was overwhelming. Zarkonian soldiers hesitated, unsure of what to aim at. The humans were no longer a disorganized mass. They had become a focused force, driven by the desire to protect their home. "Keep fighting," Marcus shouted, rallying the others. "We can't back down now." With renewed determination, the humans pressed forward, hurling stones and makeshift projectiles at the Zarkonians. Each shout from Marcus fueled their courage. As they moved closer to the Zarkonian line, it was clear the aliens were not prepared for such an unyielding resistance. "Commander," Zarek called, panic creeping into his voice. "They're breaking through our lines." Varnock gritted his teeth, struggling to maintain control. "Fall back. Regroup." He gestured for his soldiers to form a defensive line, but the humans were relentless. They surged forward, refusing to let the Zarkonians regroup. As the two forces collided, the sounds of battle echoed across the field. The humans fought with a ferocity that surprised even Varnock. He watched in awe as one young man, armed with a piece of metal, swung it at a Zarkonian soldier. The alien staggered back, stunned by the sheer determination of his opponent. Varnock's anger flared. "We must crush this rebellion." He focused his weapon on the young man, ready to take him down, but Zarek shouted again, "Commander, look." A group of humans, led by the young girl, had reached the Zarkonian ship's base. They were attempting to climb the landing ramp, determined to take the fight to the aliens' technology. Varnock felt a jolt of panic. If they got inside, they could wreak havoc on their ship. "Stop them," he yelled, realizing the gravity of the situation. Zarkonian soldiers rushed to block the humans, but it was too late. The girl and a few brave fighters managed to slip past them, their goal clear. Inside the ship, the atmosphere was cold and sterile, the walls glistening with alien technology. The girl's eyes widened at the sight. "We can do this," she exclaimed, rallying her friends. "Let's find a way to fight back." Meanwhile, outside, Marcus was locked in combat with a Zarkonian soldier. He ducked and rolled, narrowly avoiding a shot that sent sparks flying. Fueled by adrenaline, he struck back, his makeshift weapon hitting the alien squarely on the head. The Zarkonian crumpled to the ground, and Marcus couldn't believe what he had just done. "Keep going," he shouted to his friends. They rallied around him, realizing that they could defeat these aliens if they worked together. As the humans pushed forward, the Zarkonians began to falter. They had expected an easy conquest, but these humans were unlike any enemies they had faced before. The aliens who had once fought with confidence now found themselves on the defensive. Back inside the Zarkonian ship, the young girl and her friends rushed through the corridors, searching for anything they could use. They stumbled upon a control room filled with screens displaying the battlefield. Echoed with, "Look," one of her friends shouted, pointing at a large red button. "That might be the weapon control." "Should we push it?" another asked, hesitating. "Yes, we have to try." The girl stepped forward, taking a deep breath. She slammed her hand down on the button, and alarms blared throughout the ship. Outside, Varnock felt the vibrations beneath his feet. "What's happening?" he shouted to his soldiers, panic rising within him. The Zarkonian ship began to shake, and suddenly, a beam of light shot up from the vessel, illuminating the battlefield. The humans paused, eyes wide as they watched the alien technology come to life. "Is that?" Zarek started, his face pale. "It's a weapon," Varnock exclaimed, dread settling in his gut. "Get back." But it was too late. The beam of energy shot down, striking the ground where the Zarkonians had once stood in confidence. The blast sent them flying, scattering them like leaves in a storm. The tide had turned, and it was clear the humans were not to be trifled with. As the dust settled, the girl stood at the controls, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "We did it," she cried, realizing they had managed to turn the fight in their favor. Back on the battlefield, Marcus looked around, noticing the Zarkonian soldiers retreating. "We can win this," he yelled, charging forward with his friends. Varnock, witnessing the chaos, felt the weight of his previous arrogance. "We underestimated them," he muttered, fear creeping into his voice. He had never considered that humans could stand against the might of the Zarkonian Empire, but now he realized how wrong he had been. The humans roared with determination as they advanced, ready to show the Zarkonians that this was their world, and they would fight to protect it. The battle had only just begun, but they were no longer the underdogs. They had become a force to fear. The battle intensifies. As the Zarkonians reeled from the unexpected blast, Marcus felt a surge of hope swell within him. The humans, emboldened by their small victory, pressed forward with renewed energy. The air crackled with tension as both sides braced for the next phase of the fight. "Let's move," Marcus shouted, rallying his friends. They charged toward the retreating Zarkonian lines, a wave of determination propelling them forward. Each step felt heavier, yet their spirits soared. They had tasted success, and they wanted more. Meanwhile, Varnock stood on the bridge of the Zarkonian ship, his mind racing. "Regroup. We cannot allow these humans to gain any more ground," he barked at his soldiers, who looked bewildered and shaken. He could see the flickering screens showing the chaos outside. His once mighty forces were faltering, and that filled him with rage. Zarek, still trembling from the earlier explosion, looked at Varnock with a mix of fear and uncertainty. "Commander, we need to retreat and rethink our strategy," he suggested hesitantly. "No," Varnock snapped, his anger boiling over. "We will not retreat from a bunch of primitive creatures. We will crush them." His resolve hardened, but deep down, he felt the seeds of doubt begin to take root. Back on the battlefield, the humans launched a full-scale assault. With each step forward, they pushed back the Zarkonians. The makeshift weapons they had crafted from scraps became tools of defiance. Metal pikes, old farming tools, and even pieces of broken machinery turned into effective weapons in their hands. "Look out!" shouted a young woman named Clara as she swung a metal rod at a Zarkonian soldier. The alien stumbled back, surprised by the human's audacity. She felt a rush of adrenaline, realizing that each attack was helping to turn the tide. "Keep going," Marcus yelled, seeing the Zarkonian lines starting to break. He spotted a group of his friends heading toward a cluster of Zarkonians who were trying to regroup. They looked scared but determined. Suddenly, a Zarkonian commander appeared, larger and more formidable than the others. He stepped in front of his men, a dark presence that instilled fear in the hearts of the humans. Varnock had finally arrived to take control of the chaos. "Zarkonians, stand strong," he roared, his voice booming across the battlefield. "These humans may be fierce, but they are still weak. Show them our power." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. He had seen the commander's fearsome reputation and knew they were in for a tougher fight. "Stay together," he shouted to his friends, trying to keep their spirits high. The Zarkonian commander charged into the fray, his weapon raised high. He struck down a human soldier effortlessly, showcasing the strength and skill of his people. The humans watched in horror as the alien warrior fought like a whirlwind, his movements fluid and deadly. "Don't let fear take over," Clara shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We fight for our home." Her words resonated with the humans, reminding them of what was at stake. They charged forward, pushing past the initial shock. As Marcus rallied the troops, he glanced back at the Zarkonian ship, still pulsating with energy. He realized they had to disable it before it could unleash more devastating blasts. "We need to get to that ship," he urged. With determination, they broke away from the battle, heading toward the Zarkonian vessel. It loomed ominously, but the humans had come too far to back down. As they approached, the ramp that led into the ship began to close. "No," Clara yelled, sprinting forward. "We can't let it shut. We need to get in." The ramp was nearly sealed when Marcus leaped forward, grabbing the edge and pulling himself up just in time. Clara and the others followed, tumbling into the darkened interior of the ship. Inside, the atmosphere was cold and metallic. The humans quickly regained their footing, their eyes scanning the room for any sign of control panels. Alarms blared, echoing through the ship, warning the Zarkonians of the breach. "Look for anything we can use," Marcus commanded. They scattered, searching the complex machinery that surrounded them. "Over here," Clara shouted, pointing at a large console filled with buttons and screens. "I think this controls the weapons." Marcus rushed over, and as he studied the console, he felt a rush of hope. "If we can disable the weapon systems, we can turn the tide of the battle." But just as they began to work on the controls, a group of Zarkonian soldiers swarmed in, weapons raised. The humans were trapped. Varnock, watching the scene unfold from his command center, was furious. "They think they can take our ship. They will pay for their insolence." He slammed his fist on the table, feeling the weight of his previous underestimation of humanity. As the Zarkonians advanced, Marcus and Clara exchanged determined looks. "We can't let them win," Marcus said, gripping the nearest tool. "We'll fight." The humans prepared to defend their lives, knowing that the outcome of the battle would hinge on their actions within the ship. They had fought hard, and they weren't about to let fear dictate their fate. As the Zarkonian soldiers closed in, the humans stood their ground, ready to fight with everything they had. The battle was far from over, and they were determined to show the galaxy the strength of the human spirit. The turning point. The tension in the air crackled as Marcus and Clara stood their ground, the Zarkonian soldiers advancing menacingly. The humans had made it this far. They couldn't back down now. The fate of their home planet depended on their courage. "Get ready," Marcus shouted, gripping a metal rod he had found. He glanced at Clara, who had picked up a sturdy piece of machinery, her eyes filled with fierce determination. "We have to defend this position and figure out how to disable their weapons." Just then, the lead Zarkonian soldier lunged at them, his weapon raised high. Marcus swung his rod with all his might, connecting with the alien's arm. The soldier staggered back, dropping his weapon, but more Zarkonians rushed forward to fill the gap. "Push them back," Clara yelled, swinging her makeshift weapon at the nearest Zarkonian. The blow landed solidly, and the alien went down, but there were too many. With quick reflexes, Marcus darted to the control panel. "I need a moment to figure this out," he called out. He scanned the blinking lights and unfamiliar symbols, trying to remember what he had seen during his brief time on the Zarkonian ship. Meanwhile, Clara and the other humans fought valiantly. They were outnumbered, but they used their agility and determination to their advantage. They darted in and out, striking at the Zarkonian soldiers whenever they found an opening. "Focus on the weapons," Clara shouted, dodging the Zarkonian swing and countering with a kick that sent another soldier crashing to the floor. "If we can take down their firepower, we can turn the tide." Marcus nodded, trying to piece together the alien technology. He found a lever labeled in Zarkonian symbols. Glancing at Clara, he yelled, "I think this might be it." As he pulled the lever, alarms blared louder than before. Red lights flashed throughout the control room, illuminating the chaos around them. The Zarkonians paused, momentarily distracted by the sirens and flashing lights. "Now," Clara urged, sensing their moment of opportunity. She charged at the nearest Zarkonian, who had turned to look at the console. With a swift movement, she struck him down. Marcus kept his focus on the console. He pressed a series of buttons at random, hoping to find the right sequence. As he did, he felt the ship tremble beneath them. "Something's happening," he shouted. Suddenly, the ship's weapons powered down, and the loud booms that had echoed in the distance went silent. The Zarkonians outside looked stunned, their confidence wavering. "Keep fighting," Clara yelled, feeling the shift in the air. The humans rallied together, gaining strength from their newfound advantage. Marcus turned to Clara, a smile breaking across his face. "We did it. We disabled their weapons." With their morale boosted, the humans pushed forward. They charged toward the remaining Zarkonians with renewed fervor. The tide of the battle had shifted, and the humans were determined to seize the moment. As they fought, Clara shouted, "Let's push them back to the ship. We can't let them regroup." Her voice carried through the chaos, inspiring her friends to rally around her. They pressed on, forcing the Zarkonians to retreat. Each blow and strike sent waves of energy through the humans, invigorating them. They fought as a unit, their movements synchronized, striking fear into the hearts of the Zarkonian soldiers. Meanwhile, Varnock watched the chaos unfold from the bridge, his face twisted in anger and disbelief. "How can they be winning?" he muttered. The humans had shown tenacity he had never expected. It was infuriating, yet it forced him to reconsider their capabilities. "Commander, we need to regroup," Zarek insisted, anxiety clear in his voice. "Our forces are breaking." "Not yet," Varnock growled. "We will not abandon this fight. Rally the remaining soldiers and prepare for a counterattack." Back on the battlefield, the humans were relentless. They pressed forward, pushing the Zarkonians further away from the ship. Each victory fueled their determination, and they could sense victory was within their grasp. As the last of the Zarkonian soldiers fell back, Clara turned to Marcus. "We can't let them escape. We need to finish this." With a nod of agreement, Marcus led the charge toward the Zarkonian ship. They reached the entrance, now barely held together after the humans' assault. Inside, the ship was dimly lit, casting eerie shadows across the metallic floors. "Stay sharp," Marcus whispered, scanning the dark corridors for any sign of lurking Zarkonians. The air was thick with tension, and every creak of the ship sent adrenaline coursing through their veins. Suddenly, A group of Zarkonian soldiers emerged from the shadows, weapons drawn. "Get ready," Marcus shouted, raising his weapon high. The humans formed a line, determined to hold their ground. The battle had brought them together, stronger than before. They were no longer just a group of individuals. They were a united front. "On my count," Marcus yelled, his heart racing. 3, 2, 1, charge. The humans surged forward, a wave of courage crashing against the Zarkonian ranks. The fight was fierce, and the sound of clashing metal and alien roars filled the air. As the battle raged on, Varnak prepared for one last desperate measure. He could feel his control slipping, and the fear of defeat fueled his rage. "We will crush these humans once and for all," he bellowed, leading his remaining soldiers into the fray. The outcome of the battle hung in the balance, with both sides fighting with everything they had. The humans knew they were fighting for their home, their families, and their very existence. They would not back down. The final stand. The battle inside the Zarkonian ship intensified as Marcus and Clara fought side by side, their resolve unwavering. They had come too far to give up now. Each alien they encountered only fueled their determination. The ship's metallic corridors echoed with the sounds of war, a harsh reminder of the stakes involved. "Watch your left," Clara shouted as she swung her weapon, striking down another Zarkonian soldier. She felt the heat of the battle surge around her, and adrenaline coursed through her veins. Each victory felt monumental, a step closer to saving their planet. Marcus dodged a blast from an alien gun, narrowly avoiding the deadly shot. "We need to find the control room," he yelled, ducking behind a bulkhead. "That's where they're coordinating their attack." "Follow me." Clara led the way, navigating the maze of corridors with a fierce determination. They could hear the faint sounds of Zarkonians regrouping nearby. The urgency in Clara's voice drove the humans forward, pushing through the chaos. As they rounded a corner, they entered a vast chamber, the control room. Bright screens illuminated the dark space, displaying tactical maps and data streams. Zarkonian soldiers were stationed at various consoles, frantically trying to regain control of their ship. "This is it," Marcus breathed, taking in the sight before them. "We can end this now." Suddenly, the Zarkonian soldiers turned, their eyes widening in shock. Clara wasted no time. "Attack," she commanded, charging into the room with Marcus right behind her. The humans stormed in, a whirlwind of determination. They engaged the Zarkonians in fierce combat, the stakes higher than ever. Clara fought like a warrior possessed, taking down one soldier after another. Marcus focused on reaching the main console, desperate to turn the tide of the battle. "Cover me," he shouted to Clara as he dashed toward the control panel. She nodded, instinctively placing herself between Marcus and the approaching Zarkonians. As Clara fought off two soldiers, Marcus reached the console. His fingers danced across the buttons and screens, searching for anything that could help. He found a sequence of commands that could shut down the ship's systems, but the Zarkonian defenses were still active. "Marcus," Clara called, her voice strained as she blocked a blow from an alien weapon. "We need to hurry." "I'm trying," Marcus replied, focusing hard on the screen. "If I can just disable their shields, we'll have an opening." Just then, a loud crash echoed through the control room. Varnak burst in, a terrifying figure of rage. "You think you can defeat us? You are nothing but ants," he roared, his voice shaking the very walls. "Stand your ground," Clara yelled, rallying her friends. "We can't let him intimidate us." The humans prepared to face Varnak. He was larger than the other Zarkonians, his armor gleaming menacingly. He charged at them, and Clara met him head-on, her heart racing. "This ends here," she declared, swinging her weapon. Varnak deflected her blow effortlessly, a smirk spreading across his face. "You are brave, but bravery will not save you." He swung his own weapon, forcing Clara to stumble back. In that moment, Marcus found the command he needed. "I'm doing it," he shouted, pressing the button that would disable the Zirconian shields. A moment of silence fell over the room as the lights flickered. Then, the entire ship shuddered, and a warning alarm blared through the control room. "Now, Clara, we need to finish this," Marcus urged, rushing back to her side. The humans surged forward, taking advantage of the moment of chaos. Clara, fueled by adrenaline and determination, confronted Varnock again. "You underestimate us," she shouted, launching an attack with everything she had. Varnock's eyes narrowed. "You think you can defeat me? I will crush you all," he snarled, swinging his weapon with lethal intent. But the tide had turned. Marcus and the other humans rallied behind Clara, pushing Varnock back with a flurry of attacks. The Zirconian leader found himself surrounded, and for the first time, uncertainty flickered in his eyes. "Fight together," Marcus yelled, urging everyone to focus on their enemy. "We can win this." The humans attacked as one, their combined strength overwhelming Varnock. Clara landed a solid blow, catching him off guard. The alien stumbled back, and Marcus seized the opportunity. He lunged forward, striking Varnock with a powerful swing. "Just a little longer," Marcus called, frantically trying to start the ship's systems. The engines hummed to life, but they needed more time. Clara fought valiantly, firing shot after shot at the encroaching Zirconians. The odds were against them, but she refused to back down. "We can't let them stop us," she yelled, desperation fueling her actions. Just as a Zirconian aimed their weapon at Clara, Marcus shouted, "I'm ready. Get in." Clara spun around and leaped into the ship, sliding into the pilot's seat. The doors slid shut just in time to block the Zirconians from entering. "Lift off," Marcus urged, frantically pressing buttons beside her. "We have to go now." Clara activated the thrusters, and the ship shook violently as it lifted off the ground. They could see Zirconians scrambling in the hangar, trying to reach them. The ship shot upward, the hangar fading away as they ascended into the sky. Clara and Marcus shared a look of triumph and relief as they broke through the atmosphere, leaving the Zirconian ship far behind. "We did it," Clara gasped, exhilaration flooding her. "We made it out." "Not yet," Marcus said, his expression serious. "We need to set a course for Earth and warn them. The Zirconians may not be done yet." Clara nodded, focusing on the navigation controls. She programmed the ship to head back to their home planet. As they flew through space, they allowed themselves a moment of relief, but they knew the battle was far from over. "We need to prepare for whatever comes next," Clara said, her voice firm. "The Zirconians will come after us. They won't let this go." Marcus agreed, his brow furrowing with thought. "We have to unite with the other forces. They need to know what we faced. We can't let the Zirconians invade again." As the ship hurtled through the stars, Clara couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and determination. They had survived against impossible odds, but the fight was just beginning. "We'll be ready," Clara vowed, looking at Marcus. "We'll make sure humanity stands together. They will know not to underestimate us again." The journey home felt like both an ending and a beginning. They had faced unimaginable challenges, but together they would prepare for the battles to come. As the blue planet of Earth appeared in the distance, Clara felt a renewed sense of purpose. They would protect their world, no matter what it took. And together, they would ensure that humanity would never be seen as weak again.